Come on in, everybody. I'm live. I'm ready to go. We're just gonna wrap it up. We're gonna get started for a few minutes, man. Go ahead and throw a comment in here so you can be the first one. Give you a shout out. Come on in, family. I got a really powerful message that I want to share with you guys today. Come on in, family. Come on in. We're going to talk about forgiveness today. And I promise you, you're going to hear this in a way you've never heard it before. I'm going to share with you guys why in a second. Welcome in, Lakeisha. Peace to you. Kimberly Williams, welcome in. Much love, Lakeisha. She said, I'm here for it. Good. Angel Jones says, hello, Kevin in the chat. Peace to you, Angel Jones. Yolanda White, peace to you. Rosalind Crawford, peace to you. Roz, what's up? We're going to talk about forgiveness, guys, in a way I'm sure you've never heard it talked about, but I'm thinking that this will pique your interest, okay? It's going to shine a whole lot of insight on this. Yo, ready to chime in. You know, I am so interested in what you have to say on the matter, Phoenix Rising. You're very, very spiritual. You always got something powerful to say. Every comment you leave, it's almost like I can feel it in my soul. You're very, very powerful. Renee, what's up with you? Welcome in. I'm going to share with you guys in a moment why I'm on this topic. It's going to wait until exactly 10 o'clock to do so. And then we're going to get started right up. I don't want to stay on live a long time. I'm trying to get this done within an hour, but you know how this goes. You know how I can be. So be prepared for some great insight, though. I'm gonna trigger your brain to do some thinking, and I just believe that this will be I think this will be a live that you won't forget, to be honest with you. Sharon Richardson, hi to you. Just let me light my cig while I talk ish, AKLLL. Peace to you. Yeah, it's time to heal the heart, Lakeisha. That's true. No more drama, says, hey, Kevin. Peace to you. I'm feeling good this rise, man. It's been a confusing week. It's been especially when we're dealing with online. Personal life has been fine. We had a crazy snow. Lost my daughter in the snow. She got snowed in at her job. She couldn't even make it home, to be honest with you. I had to hike up what felt like a mountain, which is my driveway, grabbing onto bamboo and trees and everything to make it up out of the driveway. Had to walk up about a half a mile, knock on some doors, see if I could find somebody with a truck so I could go get my baby. I ended up getting her. We had to hike back. We made it back down the hill. It was like going down a mountain, which was scarier than going up it. But we made it back. This was a couple of days ago, okay? We immediately had some great cider prepared by Jamie. And wanted to get that immune system back right. Everybody's good. Nobody's feeling bad. Okay, family. Let's Beyond Measure says, hey, Kevin in the chat. Peace to you. Terry Dow. Peace to you, King. Absolutely fair use. Now, guys, let's get started, okay? Today we're talking about forgiveness, okay? What is forgiveness? I know many of you probably have a good idea in mind of what forgiveness is. Is this a word we commonly use? Um, it's an understanding that is not it's not uncommon in the Western world. We're going to deal with this today from a standpoint of forgiveness as an idea, as a concept. Um, is it a prerequisite? Is it a prerequisite to being able to enter heaven? Um, is it a prerequisite to internal joy? Is forgiveness a prerequisite to moving forward? We're going to deal with that today. Um, Before we dive into this topic, into the heart of this teaching on forgiveness, I just want to share with you guys the inspiration behind today's message. Okay. It's not a theory. My inspiration didn't come from a book today, not even from a moment of quiet reflection, like where most of my messages come from. Uh, this message came from a person. Now, many persons, as we've seen so much going on social media throughout the last couple of years. And of course, what happens behind the scenes, we've heard many stories of people's traumas on social media. So we know that a lot of people are not only dealing with what's been done to them on social media between them and other content creators, supporters, and whatnot, but through actual things that they have released here on social media. The moral of the story is people have had it rough. And we all know what forgiveness is because many of us has dealt with it, still dealing with it, or refuse to deal with it or exercise it at all, right? There's been a lot of pain. So like I said, many of you are what birthed this message. Peace to you, my Foster's, Miss Foster's family value. That's my sister right there, guys. Make sure y'all go give her a like, a share, a subscribe, all that good stuff. Tony, if you're in here for a while, hopefully you sit through this one. It's going to be a good message, I'm telling you. But again, many of you is what birthed this message in me, but mainly, specifically, one person. Her name is Felicia. Okay, Felicia's story is one of immense pain, pain that most of us couldn't even imagine enduring. At just 6 years old, she faced a trauma that no child should have never experienced. And the betrayal of those closest to her only deepened the wound, allowing him around and things of that nature. I just hear her tell her story, over the course of the weeks, and it's just heartbreaking. But later in life, she witnessed her mother's life taken before her very eyes, a moment that would shatter anyone's sense of safety and peace. Your God be taken from you, left alone by people who would abandon you and wouldn't trust you when you needed them most. I honestly couldn't imagine. And as horrible as that sounds, guys, you should hear her tell it. The person who actually experienced this. When she tells it, it makes you want to stop her. It makes you want to shut her up. Because hearing her say it makes your skin crawl. The realness of it. And guys, I said to her yesterday, I'm the student here because I've never seen such pain. Most of us have never seen such pain. And so when we see it, family, we need to be the ones receiving her, not her receiving us. We think we have something to say that she needs to listen to. No, she has something to say that we need to listen to. Most people do not speak out with this vulnerability and say what happened to them as clearly as she does. And as devastating as it is to hear it, you almost want to put a rated R on that thing. Seriously. It's graphic. It shows us what happens in so many of our homes today. Things that we overlook. And if you hear her tell her story, you would never overlook that. You never allow this person back around again. She is, to me, the most purest version of that. It's almost like she's reliving it when she tells it. It's pure. And it is sad. But we're only seeing one side of the coin. And that's what made me want to share this message. Despite all of her pain, though, Felicia stands, y'all, fighting, hell of a fighter, surviving, hell of a survivor, and she's seeking to heal. When she speaks her pain, you can feel its weight. But what I also see, and what I need her and all of us to see, is her strength. The tears that she sheds aren't signs of weakness. They're proof of a heart that still exists, that still feels, a soul that still hopes, and a will that refuses to be broken. Felicia sharing her journey over the last couple of days is what birthed this message within me. She made me realize that forgiveness isn't always the prerequisite to moving forward. I've thought about these topics for long, but I've never seen someone struggle so hard with the thought or the concept of forgiveness. And I completely understand why. I totally get it. When you feel immense pain, trauma, sadness, depression, every single day from what someone has done to you, forgiveness is a word that is not even in your vocabulary. How can you forgive someone when you're still crying over what they did to you? It's impossible. This word means that you get to go free. We're telling her that this forgiveness can let her go free, but her saying those words, I forgive him, wouldn't free her at all, because daily she has to deal with what happened to her. She reminded me that rising above what's been done to all of us is an act of healing in itself, not forgiveness, an act of healing, family. And that is an act of power. But it starts with an act of vulnerability. And that's what I've been seeing in her. I think it's time for her to claim her peace and her strength. I don't know if it can be done the typical way, guys. And that's what I want to talk about today. So as we begin, I want you guys to hold Felicia's story in your heart. She is living proof that even in the deepest, darkest, there's still a light. And her journey, it really teaches us that forgiveness comes in all forms. By the time we get finished with this message, you'll see it may not require forgiveness at all. maybe called release or grace or acceptance. But either way, I'm hoping that she, and like all of us, become transformed from some of the things that I say here today. So we're going to talk about forgiveness, and we're going to really get to the heart of the matter, okay? Forgiveness. What is it, family? Let's see here. Let's see what the dictionary says forgiveness is. Hang on, we're gonna look it up. All right, so what is forgiveness? It says forgiveness is a deliberate decision to let go of resentment or vengeance towards someone who harmed you without denying or excusing the offense. Okay, forgiveness is a deliberate decision to let go of resentment or vengeance towards someone who harmed you without denying what they've done or excusing what they've done. That's interesting because it says without denying or without excusing it. Or excusing it. So I don't excuse you. I don't deny what you've done. I don't excuse what you've done, but yet I forgive you, right? I release you, so to speak. Let's see here. Phoenix says forgiveness is your release of the trauma and pain. If we see it as a benefit to the other person, we will hold on to the anger or sadness, and it only eats away at us. See it as a release for you. Indeed. And we're going to talk about many different ways to see what we're calling forgiveness today. So, as you can see, what forgiveness means here I'm going to show you that we're going to talk about where forgiveness came from. Okay, so I like to get to the origin of words. So forgiveness using etymology. I'm going to type this word into the chat so you guys who are not familiar with this word can see it. Etymology. It means the origin of words. Okay, so we're going to look at the origin of the word so we can figure out what exactly does it mean. All right, let's go here. Okay, so the etymology of religion, okay? Old English, forgifan is where it comes from, which means to give, grant, allow, or to remit. A debt, a pardon, an offense. Also give up something, and give up, give in marriage. Past tense, forgive. Past participle, forgifen. From, for, here, probably, completely. Gefen, to give. From parut, gabin, to give or receive. Okay, family, we're going to break this down, the etymology of this word. All right? Get to it. So, of course, the English word forgive comes from the Old English word forgifan. And this is a word that derived in about the 9th century, which is a combination of, which they said for, which is a prefix for, meaning completely or thoroughly. And then gifan, so for gifan. For is one word, a prefix meaning completely or thoroughly. Gifan is a verb meaning to give. Together, for and gifan, which is forgifan, originally meant to give up completely or to pardon an offense. Now, the definition of forgiveness is to, I think it said to consciously, let's see, let's do it again. It says it was to, and I don't have to pull it up, but I'll just read it to you. It says forgiveness is the deliberate decision to let go of resentment or vengeance towards someone who harmed you without denying or excusing the offense. But the etymology of the word forgiveness means to pardon. Now, guys, can we all agree that some things don't deserve a pardon? Put a 1 in the chat if you agree that some things do not deserve a pardon. And if that is so, how do I forgive them if I do not pardon them, if it does not deserve a pardon? What am I saying to this person when I say, I forgive you? What am I saying? I'm not saying it's okay what you did to me. I'm not saying that I pardon you or you're all right. What am I saying to what do you mean? And this is what I think her struggle is. What do you mean forgive this person? What are you talking about? Do you know what he did to me? What do you mean? You're saying pardon this person for me. Pardoning them would set me free somehow, right? I can see the hiccup. Some things do not deserve a pardon, family. So now that we understand that the definition they're giving us of forgiveness is far different than the etymology of the word, which literally means to pardon, forgifan. So, or feign, forgifan. But it says to basically make a decision to forgive someone, to forgive. I mean, of something they've done to you, of hurt they've caused you, without excusing them. But the word actually means to pardon. So it means to pardon someone. So we're going to talk about the historical word, historical context of the concept. The idea of forgiveness, believe it or not, predates its mention in the Bible. And it appears in many ancient traditions such as Egyptian, Sumerian, and Babylonian texts. So we have forgiveness that goes all the way back to before it was mentioned in the Bible, okay? But in the Bible's context, forgiveness becomes more relational, focusing on divine, human, and interpersonal relationships, particularly under the covenant of that framework. So many of us in the Western world, let me just show you this. Peace to you, Cheryl Wagner, and thank you so much. Let me show you guys this. We are in the West, and so we have a certain frame of thought that's given to us here, okay? And so I want to show you guys something. I have a global map of religions right here. Over here, you got you got the United States, and right here is the United States, I believe, right here. Surrounding countries, all this red and pink, all in here. All these are Catholic and Christian, Protestant, orthology religions, okay? And you do see some little bitty real light pale marks in here. This is Mormonism. And while you look at this map, I just want you guys to just think of this right here before we get into the biblical meanings. As you see all of these colors, and you start to gather that the world is a mighty large place. And based on where we are, there are different frames of belief that we all have, right? So right here in the Christian area, right here, their thought on forgiveness, okay? Of course, Christians believe in a heaven and hell, and this is for any person. So you got Protestantism, you got orthology, and all of these are going to believe similar things, okay? So Christians believe in heaven and hell. They believe it has an eternal life for those who believe in God, who accept Jesus, while hell is an eternal separation and punishment from those who reject him. Now, some Christians denominations have hell as a literal place of fire, while others see it as symbolic or a separation place from God without all the fire and brimstone. Okay. Now you're going to get over into the green. You got Islam, Shia, and Abadi, and all of these are sects of Islam. All right. And of course, Muslims believe in an afterlife where people are judged by Allah. The righteous are rewarded with paradise, which is called Jannah, while sinners are punished with hell, which is called Jahannam. Hell in Islam is described as a place of intense suffering, but some believe punishment in hell may be temporary and for certain sins. All right. And as we go over into the purple, we got Buddhism, we got Hinduism in yellow, Judaism in blue, Sikhism in this orange color. Then you got this folk religion in this darker brown, and of course this gray is no religion. That's probably your Asia areas here. Okay, but if you're in Hinduism, you believe in reincarnation, where the soul is reborn based on karma, or your actions in life. That's what karma is. Karma is actually your actions in life, the consequences of your life. Hell, which is called Naraka, is a temporary place where souls may face punishment for their sins before being reborn. So in Hinduism, it is reincarnation. Hell is not permanent. It's where you spend time before you're reborn. The ultimate goal is liberation, which is called moksha. And this is called the cycle of rebirth. So it's life, it's birth, life, death, afterlife, which could be heaven or hell, which is both temporary before you reincarnate and do it again. Okay. Buddhism. If you're in Buddhism, it's similar to Hinduism, but Buddhists believe in reincarnation, and there are 6 realms of existence, including hell realms, where beings may suffer as a result of their karma, but hell is not eternal in Buddhist thought. And individuals can escape by accumulating good karma, excuse me, and seeking enlightenment, which is called nirvana. And of course, Judaism, they believe in hell. Their beliefs about hell and afterlife may vary. Some Jews believe in Sheol, which is a shadowy place where souls go after death. Others believe in Gehenna or Gehenna, a temporary place of purification for the soul lasting no more than 12 months. Again, temporary. Some focus on living a righteous life in the presence rather than emphasizing in the afterlife. And of course, some Jewish cultures don't believe in afterlife at all, or hell at all, forgive me. And then you got the traditional indigenous religions from what you would call in that folk religion down here, that brown area. They'll believe in an afterlife, maybe connected to their ancestors, nature, or different spirit realms. You hear a lot of this in what you would call, I guess you would say, the woke community, because it exists of many different frames of thought. But concepts of hell in these thoughts are less common, because who would be the agency over this hell, right? Your ancestors certainly wouldn't put you there. Nature wouldn't put you there. Why would it even exist? As a place for eternal damnation. What is the lesson that should be learned if you're in hell forever? What is the point, right? And that's what these concepts would say here. Not questioning whatever you guys believe in, but there may be a focus on maintaining harmony with the natural and spiritual world to ensure a favorable afterlife. And of course, guys, this is just the traditional and religious and indigenous religions. Then you got secularism and atheist cultures, which don't believe in the afterlife at all. You got Chinese traditions, which of course is typically going to be non-religious, but they got Taoism, Confucianism, Buddhism. The afterlife includes a concept of what they would call the Dayu, which is a purgatory where souls are judged and purified before reincarnation and moving on to other realms. And then you got this word here, Sikhism. Many of you guys may have never heard of Sikhism, but Sikhs believe in reincarnation and karma. And a lot of you guys may resonate with this too. Hell is not a place, it's a state of the mind that's distant from God due to your own actions. This resonates with me because I often feel far from God or my higher self when I've done something that I feel is wrong or I break my moral code. I often feel far from God. Even when I was a Christian, I often felt farthest from God when I wasn't living right. And I would feel like I had to get closer to God by living right, meaning it's weird because God is supposedly everywhere, but I didn't feel like I was close to God if I wasn't living right. So my soul resonates with that there. Now, I'm not a Sikhist, obviously, but I'm not into Sikhism. Obviously, it just resonates with me. I believe if we were all given the ideas about religion prior to accepting them, or before accepting them, prior to accepting them, we may have all chosen different things based on what resonates with us. Unfortunately, religion has been monopolized, and we weren't really given a choice in that matter. We are kind of what we were taught to be. But anyway, in Sikhism, the ultimate goal is merging with the divine through spiritual growth and righteous living. You're not necessarily the divine, but you are. You can merge and become one with the divine. And I think that's a really dope concept. But nevertheless, we can see that, thoughts on afterlife go far back. Of course, in the Christian world, Islam as well, forgiveness is actually attached to your ability to get into heaven. Often people are told if you don't forgive, you won't have access to heaven, meaning you'll burn forever in hell, which to many people, they struggle with that. Why would I burn forever in a hell for not forgiving someone who hurt me? What are you talking about? I look at that as, well, that's a parable. Of course, a loving God would not burn you for eternity in a hell for not forgiving someone who hurt you. That would make no sense. Not when the other person just has to ask for forgiveness. They don't have to do the work of forgiving. They don't even have to do the work of relieving their own guilt. They just have to ask God for forgiveness. And if they're sincere, they get that. That don't make any sense. Come on now. So I look at this parable as it's a concept of hell is a state of the mind. And if you are angry at this person, then you are holding negative energy. And so releasing this person from your anger also releases you, right? And that's the concept. Of course, given way more harshly when you conceptualize that with religion. But I want to talk about the Bible just for a second as it relates to forgiveness. Just because I want to talk about the first time that we hear the word forgive in the actual Bible. Okay, so I'm going to get that. I wrote that down in my notes here. The first time you hear religion in the Bible is Genesis 50 and 17. So we've made it somewhat through the Bible, through Adam and Eve and all, Cain and Abel and all. And you haven't heard this word forgiveness, family. Remember, Cain got cast out. There was no forgiveness. Okay. Thank you so much. Let me light my cig. So this is so educational. Thank you so much. And if I'm not responding, guys, it's because I'm in my zone. Okay. So the first mention of forgiveness in the Bible appears in Genesis 50 and 17, where Joseph's brothers are actually seeking Joseph's forgiveness after the death of their father. And so this is when Jacob had passed on, okay? And of course, Joseph's brother has sold him into slavery. And Joseph has now arose to kingship after coming in as a mere slave. He was a dream interpreter, and the king valued him. And some way, somehow, of course, he rose to power. And when he rose to power, of course, Joseph's brothers ended up needing Joseph's help, which he was a king. They didn't know he was a king. They thought that he could have been dead or anything, being that the last time they saw him, they sold him into slavery. So they're making their way to this kingdom to seek refuge, to get some supplies for their kingdom because it's in drought. And of course, there's Jacob, and they need him. So they have no other choice but to bow down and make things right. Okay. Of course, they would need forgiveness because they need something from Joseph. They can't just go on about their business. So in order to create another avenue of working with this person, you must seek forgiveness from them, right? So maybe that's why forgiveness is mentioned here, because you need that person around you to forgive you so you can access something from them, so to speak, right? But not needing an emotional release from them, as in seeking their forgiveness. This is interesting to me, guys, because it's not someone saying, I need your forgiveness because the guilt burdens me. No one can release me from my guilt, even if they forgive me. What this likely means is that whether it means relieving yourself of the guilt from what you've done to another. I often feel guilt when I hurt somebody or I do something that breaks my morals. I don't know if they felt pain from what I've said or done, but I know I feel pain from the guilt of doing it. I'm not a victim, but I do feel pain when I hurt somebody, y'all. But even if they forgave me, it doesn't release me of that guilt. I have to forgive myself for stooping to that level, for displaying that act. Does that make sense? Likewise, no one could hold me hostage with their lack of forgiveness, okay? If I do the inner work and forgive myself, someone being angry at me would have no power over me whatsoever. However, in this world, in the Western world, we think of the concept of forgiveness as it's much more heavy than that, much more tangible than that, not just a concept. What I'm here today to tell you guys is that forgiveness is just a concept. There are so many places in the world that has never even heard this word or this thought, family. I want you guys to think about something for a second. There's been people who have hurt you, sometimes the closest person to you. You don't remember every argument, but there was something that was said one time, you was crying about it, you was hurt about it, probably took you months to get over it, but you don't even remember it. Sometimes even if it's brought up, you don't remember it. And it didn't require you consciously making an effort to forgive that person or thing. If you really think about it, that concept isn't that powerful. Because me consciously forgiving you, what is actually the point of it if I can't release you or myself? Think about this, family. If I consciously forgive someone for or pardon them for what they've done to me, if I'm still hurt over it, I didn't relieve me from anything. I'm just relieving them. Now think about how many times we be fake, right? Somebody do us dirty. And under this idea of religion, you got to forgive because, hey, you go to hell if you don't, right? You a bad Christian if you don't. So how many times have you guys said, you know what, you straight, I forgive you, knowing you were still hurt about that? So if you still hurt and tore up about it, did you forgive them? Now, some of y'all might say, well, yeah, you can still be hurt about something and still not have a vengeance toward them or anger towards them. Well, then how did you release yourself? What did you release yourself from? Honestly, the mental toll on you is the pain. If hell is a state of the mind, what you're releasing when you forgive is the pain and turmoil that it's causing you. But if forgiving them still has you dealing with the pain, the resentment, the depression, what did you release yourself from? You would have only relieved them, but not really, because you cannot relieve them. If they are guilty, if they feel guilty, there's nothing you can do for them. But what if they're a psychopath and they don't feel guilt at all from what they did to you? I agree, Phoenix. I definitely agree to just saying the words is not. But what I'm saying is that pain will still be there. It's not like the clouds go away, the sun comes up, and you never experience pain from what this person did again. When you think on it, you don't feel the pain from what this person did again. It's just, it doesn't work that way. And so if they're telling us that true forgiveness means relieving yourself, also freeing yourself, also getting out from under the power of the person who hurt you, it doesn't really truly work that way. And so if a person is looking for the release of that pain, of what the person done for them, they may in fact feel like they didn't very much forgive them, or not really truly see the value in forgiveness. Does that make any sense? So what do people think of if not forgiveness? All right, we're going to get into that. So again, guys, forgiveness is a concept. Now you see us today, especially as people of color, we see our people get hurt. Sometimes we feel like it's for no reason, and we're often forgiving these people, right? And you hear other people say we're docile. That it's our forgiveness that makes us weak. There's some things you can't forgive. They'll put our children down in the middle of the streets, and we'll be saying we forgive them. This is not a war cry, but some things deserve going to war over. Some people you got to get rid of. Some things ain't about forgiveness. So there is a certain side to forgiveness that makes us docile. Okay. So I'm gonna talk to you guys about some of the other concepts of letting go through detachment, instead of having to consciously forgive a person for what they've done to you. Okay. Because like I've told you guys, I've gone through life where I was angry at someone and then completely forgotten about it. Never had to do any work. I've had people apologize to me for something they did years ago. I didn't even remember it, showing me that I don't have to make a conscious effort to do this. Okay. Can you find release in yourself without the need of forgiving this person, without pardoning them, so to speak, right? So hear me out here. The Buddhist perspective of letting go through detachment. Now, these things may sound totally new to you, as you guys are in the Western world, and you probably only know about the concept of religion. I mean, of forgiveness through religion. All right. But in Buddhism, forgiveness is less about absolving others. It's more about releasing one's own attachment to the anger and suffering. Holding on to anger has been seen as a poison that harms the individual, not the other person. So you've heard this in concept, right? Can you imagine drinking poison and expecting to hurt the other person? You've heard this concept, right? It's not telling you about forgiveness. When you drink poison and expect it to hurt the other person, that is like what it's like to hold on to pain, or holding on to coal and it's only burning you, right? It's nothing to do with the person. Why hold on to that coal? Why hold on to that pain? Why hold on to that anger? It's not about the person, so to speak. All right. And the practice, of course, is meditation and mindfulness. Mindfulness, guys, this is the key. I would stress mindfulness over everything when dealing with someone who's going through something like what Felicia has gone through. We can live in 3 different dimensions, family: the past, the present, and the future. We do 2 of these in our minds, okay? The past and the future. Most of us burn up our present entertaining the past and the future. Have you ever sit and said, I'm going to start a business. Here's what the name of the business is going to be. Welcome in, Queen Fee. Glad to have you. Glad to have you. This message is actually about you. You birthed it. And I'm teaching on forgiveness, what it means exactly. Okay. Welcome in. And I would like to have you come up before this is over, after I teach it, if you're available. If you'd like to share anything with us. I'm so grateful for you and you being vulnerable these past couple of weeks. Lost my friend, my thought there. What was I saying? Oh yeah. So you're in the present time, right? And you're thinking about this business you want to start. You're mapping it out all in your mind. You can see it. Did you know what you're doing right now is you're in the future? In the current time, you're not doing anything actively to get you closer to your goal. And most of us are stagnant because we live in the future. We think about our dreams and goals, but we don't actually do the actions to get them. And most of the time, family, you don't need to live in the future at all. Mindfulness is where it is. Live in the present, the act of doing. Action, right? It's when you must be doing the thing to get to your goal. So if I'm living in the future, I'm saying I'm going to plant a garden tomorrow. Okay. I may feel like I'm being productive right now, but I'm actually saying I'm going to do something tomorrow. It may not have any manifestation at all, right? I could be thinking on the past at the time I did have a garden. It would have no manifestation at all in the real world. The only thing that would bring about that garden is me actually doing it right now in the moment when I'll be creating that garden. Now I'm being productive. This is mindfulness. So someone who goes through immense pain, trauma, and things like that, mindfulness is key. Find something to do. Keep yourself busy. Find something that you enjoy. You are hurt. You always will be hurt, but you are also happy. You're also joyous. You're also beautiful. You're also funny. And you got to find those things that show you those sides of you as well, because you're multifaceted, right? Here recently, losing someone that she considered a dear friend, someone that she trusted, it really awakened a lot more of that trauma. And I can hear it in her heart. It hurts when you expect someone to be someone that they weren't. Peace to you, Michael Moore. Man, I was trying to reach out to you the other day and tried to find your Facebook and couldn't find it, bro. Well, you sent me a text message because I looked at my phone number, couldn't find your number or nothing. Royce was out here, man, like a bat out of hell going crazy. And I know you was at the crib that night. You was one of the men in that room. I wanted you to come out here and speak since she was out here acting wild. But man, it's good to see you up here, bro. Make sure you text my phone, bro, please. And if you don't have it anymore, message me on Instagram and send me your number. Thank you. But mindfulness, family, that's the key. Finding something you love doing. If I worked hand in hand with Felicia, I would put Felicia to work. I would have her out here speaking about her life, speaking about her purpose, and letting her witness, what her pain, the freedom that her pain would liberate another. We all have something powerful, guys. We all truly do. And I can just see her gift. And I think a lot of you guys can see that as well. So again, you want to practice meditation and mindfulness. This is far different than forgiveness. Notice you're not paying attention to the person or the thing that happened to you. You're simply focusing on other parts of you because, again, you are a multifaceted person. There's so much more to you, right? So it's not about forgiving in a moral sense, but it's about recognizing and clinging to the powerful things that you enjoy doing, to the things you choose to do, the life that you can create. What someone has done to you wasn't your choice, but now you can choose to be the person that you want to be. How are you going to manifest that? And that's the beautiful thing about life. And that's the Buddhist approach. Here's the Taoist approach. Flowing like water, they say. The core idea is Taoism teaches that living in harmony with the natural flow of life, resisting what has happened to us, without clinging to anger, because that disrupts our inner peace. Taoists often see emotions as a temporary state, which can be flowed through rather than fixed on or addressed head on. More like if you've seen Avatar. You guys remember Avatar when he was telling them to get to know his emotions and learn to navigate through his emotions, that when you're angry or sad, it's typically because someone has crossed a boundary. Okay, if you're feeling jealous, it's typically because that's where you want to be. that's something you'd like to accomplish, right? When you're feeling nervous or shy, um, you're typically it's typically that you are afraid of failure, right? Or people what people may think. And these are using your emotions now to better understand yourself, not to aim them at another person, project them onto another person, which I think is a very beautiful way of looking at life. And this is why I say, based on how we're raised, it creates core pathways in our brain that makes us think a certain way. We have been conditioned. And so this is why we always think about forgiveness when it comes to someone hurting us. And often we want that person to know how badly they hurt us. And obviously this idea that to get over it, we must forgive them. And that's what people will tell us. You got to forgive them. No, I don't. They don't deserve a pardon. I don't have to forgive them at all. I can heal without forgiving them. My forgiveness is not a prerequisite to my healing. That is correct. Their forgiveness is not a prerequisite to my healing. Even someone forgiving you of what you did to them is not a prerequisite of you being a better person and healing. It's crazy. We like to believe that we can hold someone hostage to what they've done to us by not forgiving them. We like to believe that someone can relieve us of our guilt by seeking their forgiveness. But truth be told, guys, it's all inner work. It's all inner work. It's going to suck to hear, but you're all alone. There's nobody here but you. I mean, sure, we're social. We have people around us. We get along. But you hear the term, you're born alone, you die alone, you live alone. No one is experiencing this world the way you are. No one feels the pain that you feel. No one, literally, no one. And it sucks. It sucks. It really does, because no one can truly relate to your pain, even if they went through the same thing you went through. They experienced it differently. No one is exact. We're all far unique. As I sit in this room, I have on a regular shirt, like a long sleeve shirt, but it's more a little bit thicker than a t-shirt, nothing really heavy. Jamie got on a whole robe. I imagine she's cold. I'm not. We're in the same room. We all experience the world differently. Very, very, very unique. So it's all about your inner work. Life is your inner work. Taoists practice things like Tai Chi and Qigong. These are used to release stagnated energy in the body. Some people say go work out, hit the bag. It's something similar. But these different poses and moves help them to move energy throughout their body, restoring the harmony in oneself and within the universe. Of course, some people look at working through their chakra as the same thing. And it's not, the thought in mind is not forgiveness. Okay. So the concept of forgiveness is not emphasized on because the focus is returning to balance, not on a moral absolution of someone else's sins upon you. Why would I absolve you from what you did to me? Why do I even have to be invested in that at all? That's crazy. I should only have to worry about healing what you did to me. I should only have to worry about healing my scars. Why am I worried about what you got going on? Right. And then you have African spiritual traditions. Many of you guys are into this, but many African traditions focus on community healing. This is what I love, family. Community healing rather than individual forgiveness. Run to the person who is hurt and love on them as long as they need it. Don't you dare tell them that to get over it. Don't you dare tell them, oh, you still crying about that? To me, that is evil, family. You apply ointment, you apply bandages, you apply love, you apply affirmation, you apply encouragement as often as needed until the person is healed. You should never kick a person when they're down, telling them they need to speed up and move fast, that they're a burden at all. They are a victim. This is something that happened to them, family, especially with her, something at such a young age. And I just learned today that happened to Latay. If most of you guys spoke up on these issues, we would see that this happens so much more than we think it does. This horrible act happens so much more often than we think it does. And this is what it does to people. She's a living testimony of what it truly does to people. You see, Tay seems to have moved past a lot of it. But Felicia's a living testimony. And I think that that's a lesson that all of us need to learn. She's not somebody who we need to be gagging, so to speak. No, talk, tell us more, speak, regardless of how much it hurts us to hear it, because she actually went through it, family. I think many of you guys, when she's saying it, put a 1 in the chat if when she's telling her story, you want her to stop talking because it hurts you. It makes you feel uncomfortable. It's disgusting. It's revolting. It's evil. It's worse than watching a worse scary movie. They don't make movies like that for a reason. What she experienced, you guys have no freaking idea. Like literally no idea. Most of you. A few of you do, which is horrific. And probably more of you than we care to admit have experienced this. But guys, you run to the person who's hurting. In African tradition, it's about community effort. You run to the person that is hurting rather than focusing on that person forgiving someone. Harm disrupts the spiritual and social fabric. And you can see that. That's why they say hurt people. So we're all responsible as a community to heal that person. I'm hoping you guys can grasp this, because if you do not, they may create a cycle in your very own community. What did she say, y'all? She said, I sold my body. I've done all these things and made all these decisions from the trauma that happened to me. Because as long as she's in power of giving her body, it's powerful act. Because what first happened to her is she was taken. So for anybody who bashed that, who clown her for that, who teased that, you're making fun of something that's far greater. She didn't do this as a healthy person, a person that was free from trauma. If you could imagine that happening to you, it ain't much worse than that. And typically when the brain see that kind of trauma, it can go there, not necessarily to that place again, but it can go farther than it would typically be able to go. When you've seen a lot, you can stomach it, so to speak. And while that act for a lot of you ladies may be gross or inappropriate or whatever the case may be, but it brought her comfort in those moments, because that's way different than her body being taken from her. And that also gave her a sense of power. And y'all might not understand that. But when that type of harm has been brought upon you, it really does hurt your mind and change the way you think. Often you end up subjecting yourself to even more trauma than the actual predator actually did to you. It just in trying to survive it. And that's through what you put inside of your body, the cope, through the decisions that you make. Some people become very abusive to their own body, cutting themselves, hurting themselves in ways. Anything to get their mind off of the actual internal pain that they're thinking that they have. None of you guys will want to trade places with this. So when you see someone that's hurting that badly, you rush to hurt them as a community, because if you don't, we all pay the price. They will begin to affect the community because we failed to heal that person. Does it make sense? When you're a community and you recognize that working together is key, anybody hurting should require all of our attention. I'm going to say that again. Anybody hurting requires all of our attention. And this is how we move forward. This is how we heal them. And we could heal them rather than telling them to forgive in order to heal. Does this make sense? Right now, guys, if something hits your big toe, your whole body is about to reach towards that toe. If you could get your mouth on that toe, you put it on that toe. My pastor used to always say that. If you could get your mouth on your toe, you put your mouth on that toe in that moment, your dirty toe. Notice how your whole body reacted to that one area of pain. It didn't require that, right? Why did all your attention go to that one area of pain? This is the universe trying to show you something. As it is in one, so shall it be in many. So again, the harm of one person, family, when you are in a tribe, you understand that it disrupts the spiritual and the social fabric. So the focus is on restoring harmony immediately, often through rituals and ceremonies, which are reparative actions. Okay, repairing to repair them from the outside. Of course, inner work is always on them. You can't forsake that part. You can't escape that. But I'm sure Felicia can tell you, us coming to her to love on her in those moments means the world to her, and it does help. So, family, I can appreciate all of you for doing what was instinctual at that time, because we didn't have to be taught to do that, and we do it. Look at how we do it. We even drop angers and walls we have up against a person to do it. Look at how we do that. And you guys remember in scripture how it would say some people will stand right in the presence of God or Jesus and still not be blessed? That's what naysayers are. Some of them, their walls are so thick, they can witness a miracle, and they actually won't get to witness the miracle. Do you get it? They'll mock and laugh and tease and never get it at all, not realizing that they were the ones who were cursed, cut off, unable to receive the gift. They thought they was watching a spectacle, something to marvel at. Meanwhile, the people who was in that presence of what they just saw, what they're laughing at, got healing that they've been asking for and praying for a lifetime. Funny, huh? The joke is always on them, family. That's why Buddha's always laughing. The joke is always on you. Ceremonies like burning sage, sweat lodges, often to cleanse negative energy, healing, often storytelling, confessions, testimonials, not necessarily to forgive, but to make peace with what has happened with you. So like Tay did today, she shared it. Hey, this happened to me when I was 8, right? Circles in which where Felicia could share these things with other people who's receptive, who has experienced this. They could draw from each other and actually grow and grow from this, begin to move forward from this. The key thing I want you guys to think about is there's no prison to release someone from, because the focus is on balance, not blame. And this is African culture, African philosophy. And then you have the philosophy of Stoicism. And this is where you reframe your perception. I do this often, okay? Stoics teach that anger and hatred come from misguided perceptions. This is how you see the thing. If you often understand how others act out of ignorance or their own struggles, you see no need to be angry or to forgive. They simply don't have power over you, okay? You just kind of put all the human concepts down and say, these things are conduits to be able to access things that are already free to navigate inside of me. In order for me to feel joy, I don't need to forgive. What is this word? I could just go be happy. I don't need to ask for forgiveness from something I've done 10 years ago. I asked them for an apology. I apologized. They said they didn't want to forgive me. I don't need to feel guilty because they didn't forgive me. I can just get up and go on and be a better person. I don't need to be held hostage to this person's unforgiveness. You are truly a super powerful being that is only weakened due to the concepts that you adopt. I'm going to say that again. You are truly a powerful being that is only weakened due to the concepts that you adopt. Each one is like another prison, another chain on your beloved brain. Put them down, rise above it, and be an infinite being, and nobody will have power over you. You are not your body. This is the emphasis on Stoicism. It's on self-control, shifting focus. For example, Marcus Aurelius, I believe, he wrote, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you'll find strength. You have power over your mind, not outside events. If you realize this, you will find strength. Now, I take that a little further. The goal is to have power over your mind. Most of us don't have that. And that's probably why we get upset over a lot of things, how we see certain things. It's our perspectives, family. We are being puppeteered by our minds. We don't because we don't have control over it. We simply just entertain ideas that drop into our mind. We don't cast them down. If we think something negative about a person, we explore the hell out that idea. Run gossiping about it with friends. Have no proof in it whatsoever. Start a whole damn thing triangulate for no damn reason whatsoever, then you had a negative thought. You thought somebody was moving hypocritically. So you had to make that public to your friend group behind their back. Yeah, shame on you. Of course, let's talk behind someone's back. And it's detrimental. So you have power over your mind, not outside events. Most of the time, not even your own mind, family. So forgiveness is unnecessary, even in the thought concept of Stoic philosophy, because it's focusing on controlling your own reactions, your own thoughts, your own energy, without the thought of anyone else. Confucianism is another one. Social harmony over forgiveness. The core idea in Confucianism is it prioritizes it prioritizes maintaining harmony and fulfilling roles in relationships. The focus is on correcting behavior rather than dwelling on the emotional hurt. Thinking on the past is living in the past, living the current time. If you think about this, family, some of us have been in relationships where it's just the past that destroyed it. We could get along now. We've learned how to better treat each other, but we can't let go of how we've treated each other. And if we could just let that go, we could just move forward in bliss, but we can't let that go. And you see many people do this. You see this in sibling rivalries. They can't stop talking about the past. But if you could truly just control your mind and say, I'm going to reboot. I'm going to start from today and move forward. Of course, the mind is powerful for a reason. We need to hold on to these patterns. So because if we don't, we're doomed to repeat them, right? But how do you remember what someone done and also remember it no more? Don't let the remembrance of it have power over your current time, your current state of mind, and the future. It's the past. And just put it to the side like it's an old what do you call it? What's the camera that you use when you shake the film? Polaroid. Yeah, right. We all remember how Polaroids work, but we don't miss them at all, right? We don't need them at all to get up the image anymore, right? We remember it, but we move forward just fine. We take a picture of this right there in the damn phone, ain't it? As soon as you take it, shake the phone. You can't even have to do shit. Just right there. You gotta think, whoever could really do the little picture you got to hang up in the green room, the black room, whatever you call it. He probably was the shit back in the day. He didn't know he was going to be weeded out. Right. He had a room all set up. I would have probably did that too back in the day. Get me a closet back there, some extra side business work. Go out, take pictures. I do pictures on the side. Oh yeah, you can take mine. Yeah, come through. All of a sudden, they ain't doing pictures no more. Mad as hell. But you move forward. You move forward. Let's deal with the secular mindsets on forgiving versus forgetting, right? From a secular philosophical perspective, people often release negative emotions by simply moving on. Forgetting can happen naturally as emotional energy dissipates. Forgiveness as a formal act may not always be necessary. And that's just how I see it. Some people say, no, forgiveness is an act that must be done on you. That's a requirement of God in order for you to access heaven. But if you guys think about it, there's so many things that you're just over. And like to even forgive it, it's like, I don't even remember that shit. Like, what are we talking about here? Right? Some people practice journaling, therapy, and physical exercise to allow individuals to process and release emotions without framing it as unforgiveness. You're at the gym, you find somebody to talk to, you get some therapy, talk to them about it. You journal, talk to your journal about it. Sometimes you may not have to talk to that person at all to forgive them, or deal with them at all, or even think about forgiving them. Okay. I think forgiveness is only necessary if you believe you're holding on to something, which is what is causing your pain, not simply the memory of it or the trauma of it. Okay. I think she has every right to be still angry about what was done to her. And those feelings are righteous, family. It shows you your boundaries. We keep thinking that anger should be something that you can't have. I think we should understand something. Your emotions are simply that, emotions. They're not going anywhere. They're all important. None of them are bad. So if you're mad about something, we're like, it ain't good for you to be mad. Well, it's not good for you to act out of anger, but you should be using that anger to navigate. What does that anger mean? Likely a boundary's been crossed. That's why you're angry, and that anger is justified and righteous. A boundary was crossed. Does that make sense? If you're angry and a boundary wasn't crossed, then your anger needs to do something with that shit. Because I ain't saying nothing about you, right? So say somebody come to you, but I heard you talking about me behind my back, right? No, I didn't. I didn't say a word about you. They still mad though. Well, wait a second. Time out. I said I did not say anything about you. Why are you still mad? Still, bro. Because I don't play like that. You're not playing like that. I didn't say nothing about you. Yeah, you got to do something with that. Does that make any sense, guys? But if you're angry over something that was actually done to you, that anger is holy. It's righteous anger. Your body works correctly. But if you're angry about something that didn't happen, your body's working incorrectly. You need to go get some help. Get recalibrated. Your shit is off. Your emotions are not emotioning. You're mad about something that never happened. Calm down, relax. Get a massage. It's a facade. Get a massage. It's a facade. That's funny, yo. Your emotions are valid. Know that, family. Okay? So in essence, forgiveness is not necessary. And that's just how I see it. I see it as it's not a prison to hold anyone in. It's not a prison for you to escape from. Pain is pain. And that pain is for you to read that pain, understand that pain, taste it. And it sounds weird. Why are you saying taste it? Hear it, see it. Really get to know who you are, family. Don't just react to the emotions that you feel. Examine them. Get to learn from your emotions who you are. You are also the book that you're reading. You're not full aware of who you are, just trying to prove yourself to the world. You're still trying to find out too. Your emotions are like a good storyline to that. They give you key indicators on who you are. If you're in a room and things are happening and they don't upset you at all, okay, but someone else, they may be upset about a lot of things that's going on in that room. That could be linked to you guys' boundaries, your morals, your principles, all of that. You don't tell that person you're wrong for being mad. And you don't tell that person you're wrong for not being mad. That's crazy, guys. Allow each other to be unique. That's the key. You're a snowflake, here today, gone tomorrow. I was just stating earlier that you can be in the same room with someone else and have a totally different temperature. You can taste the same foods and get something totally different. You can hear the same song. One of you love it and the other one of you can hate it. It's truly, truly powerful. Only you experience your world. You are all alone, even when you're completely surrounded. Only you hear your thoughts. Only you have to deal with your pain. Only you. Ain't no freeing you from no prison. There's no prison for you. And you got none to put nobody else in. Let's be real. And we'd like to. Someone could do some of the most horrible things to us, and we would like to hold them hostage to that. We can't do nothing about it. If that person is heartless, they can truly get on up and go on tomorrow, and you can be just sitting here tomorrow, the next day and the next day still mad, and they're going on with their life. All this stuff is for you. You understand? And I would say it's also for many people. People get to learn from you and their experience of you while you went through something. And a lot of times that's what true exposure is. Sometimes the worst things happen to you, and we as the world, the audience, get to see who you become when that horrible thing happened to you. And that is truly you being exposed in the best of ways, or in the worst of ways. You know, some people, like I said, unalive themselves from what Felicia has seen in her life. But she's a testimony. And I'll never come up off of that. Many people try and mock and act like what I'm saying to her is not rooted in anything factual, that I'm just somehow trying to stroke her or something. I would never play like that. I would never play like that. But I'll just say this, guys. In Christianity, it teaches forgive and you shall be forgiven. It emphasizes divine grace, letting go of anger because God forgave us, right? Buddhism reframes it. Forgiveness isn't about the other person, but about freeing ourselves from suffering. And of course, Africa traditions like Ubuntu, um, the idea that I am because we are. Harm to one harms the whole. The healing requires restoring harmony, not holding grudges. Um, and of course, that's a community effort. And I think that we've been doing a great job of that. So I just want to say thanks to all of you for doing the communal thing, which is coming to hear her and offer insight if you can, and offer acceptance whenever she's expressing herself. It's truly powerful to see. And that stuff is just, it melts my heart every time. I love to see, we saw so much um, um, chaos. It's just beautiful to see power. You know what I mean? Um, but yeah, but anyway, guys, just moving on. Forgiveness as a concept assumes two things. You have power over someone by withholding forgiveness, or releasing them somehow completes this cycle of justice, or that it releases you from some type of prison. And other places don't focus on this term at all as a means to rising. Okay, so that's one of the many ways that people release negative energy. It's just a tool. It's not a rule. Remember that. Somebody type that in. It's just a tool. It's not a rule. It's just a tool. It's not a rule. I always say that. In some cultures, forgiveness isn't a part of the equation at all. It's not even heard of. Like forgiveness. What do you mean forgiveness? What does that even mean? Try explaining that to someone who doesn't have a concept of forgiveness. It means that you have to pardon that person who did that thing to you. Why the hell would I be doing that? Why do I need to do that? Is my pardoning going to somehow help them get by? What does my pardon do exactly? What does me telling that person I pardon you do? What's the point? They would say y'all crazy if y'all going around attaching yourselves to people through these interactions. That's crazy. Thank y'all so much. It's just a tool, not a rule. Tish Akpan and Robin Lotson, Queen Lacey. Thank y'all. Let's deal with cultural perspectives on releasing anger. In Buddhism, anger is a poison. Forgiveness is not about moral absolution. It's about removing the poison from your own mind. Practices like meditation to detach your own self. We talked about that. Let's talk about how hell is a state of the mind. Okay, so we talked about how if you forgive another person, if you release another person from your anger, you also release yourself from anger, right? And this concept of hell being a state of the mind is that anger is a place in where that exists in hell. Sadness, depression. You guys hear of heaven described in the Bible. They say it's a place of joy. There's no sorrow, right? And so sadness is a place is in hell. It doesn't exist in heaven. So they say when you go to heaven, you won't even cry over lost ones because there's no sorrow in heaven, right? Sadness doesn't feel good. Therefore, it's not good. So it's got to be bad, right? So it's in hell. So the emotions that we like are in heaven. The emotions we don't like are in hell. Okay, so when it comes to hell as a state of the mind, if something makes me happy, it's putting me in a state of heaven. If something makes me sad, it's putting me in a state of hell. So if I'm remembering anger, I'm obviously feeling discomfort from that anger. I'm putting myself in a state of hell, an angry state of mind, sad state, sorrowful state, depressing state of mind because of my own emotions. And so the idea is if I release someone from the pain that I'm really causing myself, then I would be free from that pain that I'm causing myself. But the problem is you're causing the pain to yourself. They're not causing you the pain at this point in time. The pain has already been transferred. What's taken has already been taken. What's done has already been done. Does that make any sense? So while it sounds good in theory, and this is why I came on the platform a couple of days ago and said, what you guys are doing is beautiful. It sounds good in theory, but everyone can't access forgiveness in this way from the spiritual concept of God, hell, heaven, or from the esoteric concept of hell being a state of the mind. It's just when someone experienced that type of trauma, that stuff sounds good, but in theory, it sounds good in theory, but it doesn't work. Okay, and so again, hell as a state of the mind, not as a place. When you're consumed by anger, hate, or resentment, doesn't it feel like torment? It's because it is. Hell isn't a fiery pit; it's a mental and emotional state that we create when we hold on to negative energy. That's the idea. The scriptural insight, which also leads to this, it says, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." So if a man is thinking with anger, he feels anger, right? If I go to insult you, I had to become that to insult you, right? So if I'm insulting you, calling you terrible names, it's impossible that I feel good inside, right? So however I'm making you feel is likely how I'm feeling at the time. Does that make any sense? Especially if I'm getting joy from it. Thank you, Nina. So in Buddhism, hell realms aren't eternal. They're states of the mind caused by wholesome actions or unwholesome actions and thoughts. Again, the analogy of the burning coal. You're holding on to a coal in your hand. You're gripping it. And you're thinking you're punishing the person who wronged you. But who's really being burned? You are. Forgiveness or letting go is simply an act of dropping that coal, not for them, but for you. Now rework that, okay? You're not holding a coal thinking that it's punishing the person who wronged you. This makes you the causer of your pain. Listen at this, guys. It sounds good in theory. Listen, you're holding a burning coal and you're imagining that it's hurting the person who wronged you. Who's really getting burned? In this concept, you are the person holding the coal in the attempt to hurt someone, right? That's not what a person who's in pain is going through. They're not holding on to their anger in hopes that it hurts the other person. That's crazy. That's crazy, guys. So it sounds good, but is it true? We know it would be ridiculous to hold on to a piece of coal hoping it burns someone else. We know that sounds crazy, but no one is thinking that their anger is making the person who hurt them feel anything. No one is thinking that. So it sounds good, but that's not what's really happening. So to the person who actually feels the pain, it sounds like you're telling them that they are the aggressor here for attempting to hold on to anger or pain because they think it can hurt the other person. Can you see how just teaching them to put the coal down, holding on to the anger itself is the coal? Just put it down. If someone tosses you a piece of coal, you don't got to give it back to them. You don't got to ask them why they did it. Just put it down. It's not even a thing. They toss it to you, toss it down. Put it down. Does that make sense? But if you're like, but they put it on me for no reason. Why they give it to me? But man, this stuff happens to everybody. Regardless of what it is, it's happened to another. We're all reflections. When my mother passed, I would say, why me? Why did my mama have to die? Why? And there is a part of growth and in trauma where those questions are asked, why? And there are no answers. You have to define the why. You have to define it. Nobody can define that for you. And it's like I told you guys, you're here alone. Nobody can see your true potential. Nobody can tell you what your ultimate purpose is. No one. You're all alone. You have to define that. You have to tell us who you are. There's nobody here to tell you. You have to tell us. And that sucks because we wanted somebody to give us the answers to life. We wanted somebody to tell us who we were. We wanted somebody to validate us. But then what you learn is there is no one to validate you. There is nobody to validate you. There's nobody out there to do that. Nobody. Only you can prove yourself. And when you do so, you need no validation. Every knee will bow. Every tongue will confess. Here are some practical steps to releasing anger. Okay, acknowledge the hurt, and that's what I love about Felicia is she acknowledges that she's hurt. Um, it's her pain is so real, man. Pretending it didn't happen does not help at all. Recognize the emotion without judgment. I feel pain. I still think about it every day. I'm hurting. My heart is broken. I feel like something was taken from me. I feel like my potential was stunted. I feel like this person, and these feelings are very real. And what they require is someone who will listen to them, not say, stop talking. I get it. Like, just, you ain't over that yet. I'm serious, guys. Detaching, reframing, cleansing. Unforgiveness may be a concept, but release is universal. Whether through forgiveness, detachment, or reframing, the goal is the same: to free yourself. Anger and hate don't imprison others, they do imprison you. And by letting go, you liberate yourself from your own mental anguish, from your own mental hell. Um, since pain comes from perspective, two can experience the same thing. One sees it as a catalyst, one sees it as a blessing, one sees it as a curse. Absolutely. See, this is I'm speaking about reframing it. It's all in a matter of how you see it. And this is where the Stoicism comes into place. It's all into how you see it. Now, something as harsh as what Felicia has gone through, it's not many ways you can reframe that. Okay. It's not many ways you can reframe that, but one of the ways I say is to recognize that there's a double side to this thing. Okay. And that's what we're going to talk about now. And this is why I see Felicia as so powerful. Okay. Because many of you guys think that I'm just capping when I say that. I don't know if you guys ever heard of the yin and the yang. Yin and yang, they call it. Yin and yang is the actual correct word, correct term. But yin and yang, one side of it is black, looks like the letter 6. One side of it is white, looks like the letter 9, or two fishes, two koi fish, so to speak, right? Chasing each other, head to tail. Yin and yang. Balance is what they call it. So I see Felicia, I see the yin and yang. Okay. So the yin and yang illustrates the complexity of life. It teaches us that within every hardship, there is strength. Within every shadow, there is light. And the opposites do not cancel each other out. They exist simultaneously in balance, defining and enriching one another. Okay. Like darkness and light. When you speak your pain, when Felicia speaks her pain, guys, it's clear that it has deeply shaped her life. I see it in the tears when she says that. When she says them, I can hear it in her voice that she's endured a lot of pain. But I see something that is not yet fully recognized on the other side of the coin. While she feels sorrow from the violation and the loss, there is also an incredible strength, a resilience, and a fortitude that has grown from these experiences. When you recognize on the other side of pain, you may feel overwhelmed when you reflect on what happened. And this is to Felicia. I know you feel overwhelmed when you reflect on what happened, but I need you to see this. When you tell your story, as horrific as it is, I want you to see the other side. And it is that you endured it. You did not let it kill you. This is a testimony to your strength. So at your weakest moment, you were your strongest, love. At 6 years old, you survived that. You got yourself up every day, even though people didn't believe you, even though they didn't give you the attention and love that you needed. You went on and had a family. You raised children. You are powerful. Don't let anybody tell you different. Anybody. You walked through fire and you still standing. Not just surviving, but standing strong. Enough that most people would never know the weight you carry unless you told them. Unless you're having that moment where you're thinking about it and you're showing that weakness, that vulnerability. Most of us will never know you even went through that. That's a testimony to your strength. I know inside of you, you feel like that 6-year-old little girl, but that ain't how we see you. That's not the image you give off. It's truly a double-sided coin. The tears that you share, the vulnerability that you have when you talk about your pain, that's not a weakness. That's a strength. Most people cannot do that, Felicia. You are displaying in that moment, you feel weak. In the moment, you feel weak because you're talking about your pain and you're crying, but you are very strong to be able to do that. Please understand, we're witnessing both at the same time. It takes a great strength to share your weaknesses. The fact that you can cry and still rise show that your strength is your foundation, not your weaknesses. You think you're that 6-year-old little girl. You're a mighty, mighty person who survived something that was detrimentally done to you. You don't have to believe that you are that little girl. She will always remain a part of you. But Felicia, you are seen as mighty. Whether you want to do good or bad, you're going to make an impact regardless. A hell of one. A hell of an impact. You carry yourself in a way that radiates power, whether you are cussing somebody out or speaking life into them. Dawn even said it. I think a few others said it. When you say, shut up, it's like they feel it in their soul. This is you being mean, Felicia. But I also hear the way you talk to Toya. Now, obviously, you said some mean things to Toya that you were apologizing for, but the way you talk to Toya was so welcoming and heartfelt. It takes a strength to make yourself so weak to get a person to come out of their shell and talk to you and open up. And I know my sister, she don't do that for everybody. And she didn't come to do that. I'm telling you that she didn't. But she knew what she was saying was sincere. That takes a strength to when you can stand up. There's no fear in your heart, but you're able to kneel down. You guys see this represented in countries like China, Japan all the time. They bow to you when they realize they've offended you. They come down below you. This is them outwardly expressing to you that I'm humbling myself. I slighted you. I'm wrong. That takes great strength. Most people will be unaccountable to it and lie about it. So I see it as a yin and yang. It's just looking at her reminds me that that light and dark exist together. There's not a perfect person. It's not a perfectly bad person. It's not a perfectly good person. We're all complex, and I wish we'd all see that, and we would all practice what would be releasing of our negative energy, or if you want to call it forgiving. We've all endured darkness, but from it, we can forge a light that's so bright it illuminates not just our path, but the path for others. I hope that Felicia keeps sharing her story as often as she needs to. And I hope that a crowd will gather around to hear it and encourage her every single time she tells it. There was a time in her life when nobody came running to love on her. Just because she's older now doesn't mean that time has passed. When she's going through that, she's still a 6-year-old little girl. Love on her like one. Tell her it's going to be okay. Hug her as tight as you can. And however angry she is at that person, you be angry right with her. She deserves that much, family. That's a true victim. I hate that we're treating true victims like they should be getting over it. Like they're not moving fast enough. They're a burden on us. They are our responsibility. Sometimes it's us who fails them too. She talks about inside of her home, them failing her. But I don't know if she's ever looked at it and saw it so deeply as your community failed you, your village failed you. We all failed you. Now, of course, many of us wasn't around at that time, but you guys can get the concept of what I'm saying. Um, if we don't acknowledge her today, we're failing her. Any person who this has happened to, family, we need to support them as much as we can. It's not easy. So Felicia's strength is actually undeniable. I don't think anybody can deny it. Felicia, when you feel like you're at your weakest, I want you to consider this. The very fact that you are here, surviving, fighting, and showing up is a testimony to the strength that's within you. Think of a tree battered by storms. One time I was at a park and I saw this tree and it had one whole side of it looked like it was scarred up from beavers that was taken from it, but the tree had healed up, you know? So the tree was the largest tree in that park, but you could just see that animals had came and taken from that tree. And I was looking at the time, I felt like people had took stuff from me, right? I tried to ruin my reputation, things I felt like I could never get back. And I could just hear my higher self tell me, you've recovered from that. You've grown quadruple since that happened, since that lie was told on you. You've already healed from anything that was taken, just like that tree right there. That beaver is long gone, and that tree is completely healed. But I see the scar. And many of us are like that tree. We still are talking about that scar. We still are held back due to that scar. But the universe has already given us back more in abundance. And I'm not referring to the act that happened to Felicia, of course, not in this moment. But I'm just saying, many things in our life, we feel like somebody taking something from us, but it actually made us stronger. It was our perspective. So if you look at a tree, you know, the branches may be shaken, its leaves torn away, its roots may grow deeper, its trunk may be stronger. That's you. The storms of life didn't break you, but they made you unshakable. So it's like you might feel like my leaves are brown, right? They're not as green as they should be, but your roots go deep. They go deep. You stand really strong. You endured a violation and a betrayal, and an unimaginable loss, and yet you are a living example of resilience. The fact that you feel deeply doesn't make you weak; it makes you human. Most of us are desensitized, so your feelings are very raw. You can tell that you're pure, regardless of any decisions you've made in your life. The fact that you continue to rise, get up online, looking proud, this makes you powerful. Please don't just see yourself as weak or traumatized or a victim. Know that you're a hero as well. You sure enough set me free. You wasn't even trying to. So your tears and your strength are two sides of the same coin. One reminds you of the humanity that allows you to feel so deeply, while the other proves your ability to overcome. Both are necessary, both are valid, and together they make you whole. I think we're thinking we're going to see a different side of Felicia, just a side that never feels pain again, the side that can talk about that moment without breaking down. Guys, I don't think that'll ever happen. But the truth is, most of us would never guess the depth of her pain because the way she carries herself reflects a profound strength. But it's when she speaks of it, the sorrow, it shows itself. But that's okay. That's natural. That's truth. That's what truth looks like, family. What you might not see in those moments is the very act of talking about it or facing it. And that's part of the yang, which is your triumph. So you experiencing it was the yin. You being able to talk about it now after you've had family, raised sons you love. I don't know if you have daughters. I think you said you have sons. No, you do have a daughter. Um, that's the other side of the coin. You're on the other side of the coin. And while the yin will always be with you, so will the yang. So when you're feeling weak, know that you're still mighty, and you'll still have moments. You'll always likely have these moments where you think on this issue, on this thing, on the losses that you've had in your life. And when I say it, look how I dance around it, this issue, this thing. That's why you're needed, because you say it for real. And when you say it, we feel it. We try to hide these words, sweep them under the rug, because they are words that are just diabolical. We don't even like to hear them. But she's felt them, guys. She's experienced them. And again, Latay as well, and many of the other ladies. These ladies are Treasure's family. They're not someone who should be pushed to the side. We should listen to whatever she has to say on the matter. She's sharing with us something that, if we're not careful, our own daughters could experience it. Our own sisters could experience it. Our mothers could experience it. Guys, I don't know if you guys understand this, but sex trafficking is the most profitable business in the entire world. We live in a very cruel world. We should never laugh about things like that. We should never play about things like that. And I think it's sad when other women do that. I don't think men should do it, but when women do that, knowing that it's a reality that they all have to live in and that many of them have faced, to me, it's just that there are no words for it. And that's even if you didn't believe her. You should never be seen mocking anything like that. Never. Guys, I don't have a plan to continue this live out. I just wanted to talk on this subject of forgiveness. It's a concept. It is a useful tool to help a person um, access a bit of joy through letting go of animosity or anguish, hate that they have for another person. But when a person is experiencing immense pain from what's been done to them in the past or any type of trauma, it's likely due to them releasing that energy. And that often does not require forgiving the person who did it. Okay. I'll say this again. I have gotten over things and forgotten things that people be still sorry about. I saw a guy that I went to school with, right? He came up to me and asked for forgiveness. Said he said something to me in school one time. I don't even know what that dude was talking about. He said I've been bothering him all these years. I didn't even know what dude was talking about. Apparently, whatever it was, I got over it and didn't even remember it. Sharon Williams says, "Pray for me. My temperature is 100.9." Goodness gracious. Definitely sending you some good energy. Did you do anything? Did you put some ice packs on? Are you going to go to the hospital? That one says, "Great live. Thank you very much. Forgiveness is freedom." It is true freedom. It is. But I say, I don't know if you've seen the this show where the guy says anger gets shit done. I forget what it's called. American Gods or something like that. He said anger gets shit done. Just know that all emotions are useful. And you thinking on something that happened to you and you feeling sadness, that's not an indication that you've done something wrong, that you still need to forgive this person because you're feeling away. It's just trauma. And I truly believe that someone telling you that you have to forgive someone in order to feel joy or release yourself, that's just one side of the coin. There's many avenues to your peace, and that's just one of them. Okay. Um, Hopefully that makes sense to you on the topic of forgiveness. I would never ask you to forgive that person. They do not deserve a pardon at all. Neither of them do. What they've done has changed your life absolutely completely, and it also revealed to you many others around you that didn't take your best interest into heart either. And I understand that um, probably hurts you even to this day, because that was something that everybody deserves as a family that loves them and cares about them enough to make sure that they're safe, and you didn't have that. And I think that's another reason why you're so strong, why you protect yourself um, so much, because you didn't have somebody to do that when you needed it. But to me, I get you. I get you. I have no judgment for you, and I think that you're powerful. And I truly do look forward to seeing, just seeing who you truly are, Felicia. I truly look forward to seeing who all of you are. As I said, many of us have experienced a lot of pain in our lives and just throughout this saga. Many of us are holding, grudges against the people who caused us to feel that pain. Um, I want you all to know you don't have to necessarily pardon that person who hurt you at all. Now, many of you may say, Kevin, that's not me. That's not my religion. That's not how I think. And that's okay. Again, we come in this world by ourselves. We leave it alone. We leave it by ourselves as well. Um, do what works for you, because we're all individuals. But for me, I find it easier to move past transgressions made against me by simply doing the inner work, questioning why did it offend me to begin with, um, recognizing that the emotions that I feel from it are likely an indication to something that's going on within myself. If they insulted me and it hurt my feelings, maybe that's something I'm actually insecure about. If they spoke on someone in my family and that hurt, maybe I'm actually hurting over that. Maybe it crossed a boundary. Maybe that's something that I truly care about. All I'm saying is when we take the time to freeze a person to that moment and practice being angry at them for an amount of time or whatever the case may be, and sometimes even be motivated to do things through it, like vengeance and stuff like that, you can see how that concept is not healthy for us. Because if you think about forgiveness as a concept, then you have to think about holding on to anger towards a person as a concept as well. When we're taught to do that, I know I've probably said some things tonight that you haven't thought of before, and I'm hoping to, as I'm a teacher, I hope to say something that you've never heard, something that intrigues you to do more studying and more research, something just to intrigue you to think. I feel like that's my job, and if I've done it, I've done my job. But anyway, family, thank you guys for making this live. If Felicia is available, if she's still here and she wants to come up, I will give her a moment. So if she wants to come up and share something, if not, um, I'll be ending the live. I'll give it a few moments. She did comment earlier. She may have laid down or got into something. It's 11:40. It don't take too long to type, so 11:41. I'm going to end it if she hadn't responded. Thank you, Brittany. What did you guys think of this live? Was it informative? Did you learn something about forgiveness? Did you learn something about other concepts and their way of thinking and how it could be maybe useful? Could you maybe apply some of what you saw in Taoism and Buddhism? Could you see how these other cultures have some unique ideas as far as getting over negative energy or getting past trauma? Thank you. That one, he says, very informative. Everyone could learn something from it. Thank you. Yes, I did a little bit of, that I heard. Okay, good, Sharon. Please watch the replay. All gems tonight. Thank you so much. Then Queen Jamie says, very informative. Thank y'all so much. Brittany says, very informative. Good, good, good. Guys, I just truly believe that there are so many ways of accessing your higher self, accessing joy inside of yourself. And, there's no rule of thumb. There's no certain way that you have to do it. But we have people who have meditated, people who have, went through different processes to try and access their higher self and access joy and all these good feelings we try to get to. They try to put it into words, and that's where you get these concepts from: forgiveness and meditation and mindfulness. And this is where you get these terms from. It's people telling you how they kind of get past, negative emotions. So, Robin Law says, great live. It was very informative. Thanks, Kevin. Good, good, good. And apologies if I seem tired. It is well past my bedtime. I'm an early bird. I'm up every day at around 4 or 5. So I'm not typically up at this time. So if I'm slurring, if I seem tired, I'm not high or drunk. Okay. And if I'm lying about either, I would be high and not drunk. Okay. But I'm tired. So I'm going to get some rest. And I'll see you guys at a different time. All right, family. Peace to y'all. I hope y'all got something from this. Truly, I look forward to seeing you be the greatest version of yourself, Felicia. I truly do. Godspeed to all of y'all. Peace to you. Be evolution. Be the change that you want to see. No candle loses its flame from lighting another. And if you were to ever find yourself in the middle of chaos, it is in that chaos that you will find yourself. Peace, family.